Të dashur teleshikues të televizionit të shqiptarëve të Amerikës, në ambientet e biznesit këtu në Farmers Market, në biznesin e aktivistit edhe këngëtarit Fran Gjoka, sot ishte i pranishëm një hero i gjithë shqiptarëve, Gjenerali Clark, ai që drejtoi sulmin e NATO-s mbi objektivat serbe në Kosovë. Michigani është bërë një shtet betejë, është një swing state në këto momente dhe tani përfaqësues të shquar që kanë renome, kanë emër në komunitetin shqiptar, vinë për të ushtruar të drejtën e bindjes së tyre një pjesë të komunitetit për të votuar për partinë përkatëse.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. And welcome to our home. Is a pleasure and I am honored, and all we are honored today to have with us General Wesley Clark. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's very hard to find a word to thank you, but we thank from bottom of our hearts for what you and United States of America did for Kosovo, did for Albanians, and thank you. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Albania, Kosovo, Malsia, Ilirida, and Samaria. Americans and Albanians all over the world. I want to thank all of you for showing the respect and support for our hero. General, you are a hero to every heart of Albania. So thank you so much for being here with us. We love this country. Albanians working hard. Albanians are smart. Albanians know to go on the right direction. So we love this country and we're gonna keep this country strong, good and great. God bless you. America, when America is great, Albania and the whole world is great and safe. So again, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for everything you did for America, for Albania and Albanians all over, and for Kosovo, and for entire world. I want to introduce special friends we have today here with us. We have Judge Millicent Sherman, Judge of 36th District Court. Judge, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to have you here.
Thank you.
So much, okay?
Thank you.
And we believe in our justice and our good judges we have. Thank you. God bless. We have Mr. Dan Carmody, President of Eastern Market Corporation. I want to have a special thank for Mr. Bebi Bayram. Because of him, we have this event today. He came from New York. He is one of the Albanians who work so hard because he is the owner of Illyria newspaper in New York. He sacrificed big time to keep that newspaper to inform us. And thank you again for being here. Thank you so much for bringing General Wesley Clark today. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. I also want to thank Philip. Philip, thank you so much for working hard. All the best, and all the dreams, your dreams and our dreams, I hope they're gonna come true. Mr. Benivida, Director of Albanian TV of America. Director, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. We have the President of Vatra Federation, Mon Raka. Thank you so much. Mr. Munir, businessman, patriot, thank you for supporting us, for being here today, and all the best for you and your family. Mr. Paul Straley, great businessman, great family man. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Nicolas Sinisay, thank you for being here. Grun, anyone, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a pleasure and all the best. Thank you so much. Mr. Pendernici, actor, very Albanian star. Mr. Vesnik Beji, he was a soldier in Kosovo. And a commander too.
From the United States.
Thank you for being here.
Uchaka!
Mr. Mark Duzule, the president of Civic League for State of Michigan, and also the president of Koya, Shachara Koya. Thank you so much for being here, for your support, for loving this country and bringing peace. And thank you. Pleasure to have you, brother. Mr. Lutoni, the president of Shachara Koya. Thank you so much for being here and for your support. Thank you. All the best for you and your family. Mr. Minuki, Victor Daga, Fred Perjoni. Welcome. Thank you so much for your support. Mr. Gjenerali, thank you so much for being here. Mr. Luis Satsai, businessman, thank you for coming here with your beautiful son and daughter. All the best. God bless.
Thank you.
And now,
Most.
I left this table for the end, for the last one. Is anyone can translate one Albanian word in English because I cannot translate? Who's going to translate this? Say it. Come on. So is a word they took on a village somewhere. They said the sweet things come in the end. So yes. So but is a kind of yeah.
Cherry on top. I got it.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. God bless. Thank you again. Thank you. Now the floor is for General Wesley Clark. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Franz, for that introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure. We're proud of you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to speak as loudly as I can. I hope, can you hear me in the back? I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? All right. Well, first of all, baby, thank you for your support, for getting me here, for helping bring this crowd together. Judge Sherman, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for the Eastern Market and giving us this opportunity. I'm just really honored to see all of you here. I know we've got the leaders of the Albanian American community in this part of the country, and I'm counting on you. And I want to tell you a story, and I'm happy to see the ladies, because you're very nice looking this morning, and thank you for coming out for me. I know you have other things you could have done with kids or business or whatever, so thank you for being here. And the businessmen. Okay, so here's what I want to tell you. The world today is an increasingly dangerous place for the United States and for Kosovo. And I want to come here to ask you to vote for the person I think can do the best job of keeping us safe in the years ahead. Because that's what this is about. Now, you know, I'm an old guy. I started West Point as a cadet in 1962. Now, I don't think most of you weren't born then. And I'm still fighting this because the premier of the Soviet Union came to the United States when I was a young person and threatened America. He said, "We will smash the United States. We're communists, we're better." And I was 14 or 15 years old. I was inspired by this to protect this country. So I joined the armed forces. I went to Vietnam. I was a company commander. I got shot. I came home on a stretcher. I stayed with the Army because I believed that the Army was essential to protecting freedom and the values of this country. And that led me to Bosnia in 1994. I was a 3-star general. I flew in. I wanted to find out what was this fighting in the Balkans. What was going on? There were Serbs, there were Croats, there were Muslims. People talked about Kosovo, but Kosovo wasn't even on the map. What was going on? So I went in, I met the Bosnian leaders, I met Serb General Mladic. The next year I came back with Ambassador Richard Holbrooke, and we laid out a peace proposal for Bosnia. It worked because Milosevic was at the end of his rope. He knew he couldn't keep going. And I spent 100 hours with Milosevic in these negotiations. And during this time we said, but what about Kosovo? What about Kosovo? He said, Kosovo, no. That's my country. I won't talk about Kosovo. We did the Dayton Peace Agreement. We put NATO forces in Bosnia. But then I became the NATO commander. And then the repression intensified in Kosovo. And people came to me and they said, they're arresting teachers. They won't let us teach in our own language. They're running us out of business. We can't be in the government service at all. They're trying to take our land, etc., etc. The Albanian general came to me and said, in 1998, they're firing mortars against the villages around Đakovo. He said, we can see them from the high ground. So we proposed to NATO a military mission that would tell Slobodan Milosevic to stop using force to try to repress the desire for freedom in Kosovo. Milosevic didn't like that. I talked to him in June of 1998, and he said to me, he said, General Clark, I see your airplanes. He said, but these people in Kosovo, they're my people. I wouldn't hurt them. So the problem continued. By September, 400,000 Kosovar Albanians were in the mountains because they knew what happened if you stayed in the villages. You had the terrorist groups come through, the so-called paramilitaries. Sometimes they were protected by the Serb police, and the Serb military was there in increasing force, and it was dangerous. So I went to the Secretary of Defense and I asked for help from the United States. We mobilized NATO. We called Richard Holbrooke back. We talked to Milosevic again. We asked him to please pull your forces out of Kosovo that are causing this problem. Leave these people alone. So at first, the first mission, I went with him. He lied. He tried to tell me the forces weren't there. I said, well, they are there, and I named the forces. Then he turned to his General Perisic and said, are these forces there? Making an act, you know. He said, okay, we will pull them out. But he didn't pull them out. I went back a second time. I talked to him. At this time, I said, Mr. President, if you don't pull these forces out and comply with the United Nations, NATO is going to tell me to bomb you. And he said, well, General Clark, I said, you don't want to be bombed by NATO. He said, no, you're right. He said, he said to me then, you must talk to my generals, as though it was the generals doing it. So I spent an evening with his generals, and they said, they had a map. They said, terrorists, terrorists. I said, these aren't terrorists. I said, and you can't solve this problem by killing people. They're just people who want to have their own government and have their own lives. Don't you understand that every person you kill makes it worse for you. You're going to lose. So this argument went on for several hours. In the end, they didn't change their views. Finally, I went back a third time, and this time we got Milosevic to sign the agreement that he would pull out. That was in November of 1998. And the forces pulled out, but the Russians came in and told them, don't worry about NATO. You know, Papa Bear will protect you. And so right after January in 1999, all those forces came back in again. He started killing people. First he killed 53 farmers in the village of Raychok. We tried to do another round of negotiations, because really you should never use force except as a last resort. Because it's true, you know, when you start bombing and killing people, they don't forgive you. They don't forget. It's not like turn the other cheek and do it again. People hate you for it. So we didn't want to bomb. But he insisted on trying to kill people in Kosovo. And so on the 24th of March, we initiated the NATO operations. And after 77 days of strikes, Milosevic agreed to pull his forces out of Kosovo. And that's how we got on the road to an independent country in Kosovo. And I want to tell you, I had really good support from President Clinton in the White House, from Madeleine Albright, from British Prime Minister Tony Blair. These people understood it. On the other side of the aisle, the Republicans didn't understand it. They were against it. They tried to stop what I was doing. I'm just being honest with you now. It became a partisan issue. And I was back in Kosovo in 2019 with President Takim, and he was presenting an award to President Clinton and Madeleine Albright and me. And President Clinton called me in with my wife and my grandsons there, and he said, Kosovo, freeing Kosovo, probably the most important thing he did in his presidency. That's what he believes. That's how proud we are of Kosovo and what's become an independent country. It's a democratic country and it stands against aggression. We love Kosovo. But here's the problem, and this is why I'm asking for help. Vladimir Putin and his team are on the march in Europe. And you know, Serbia has always been aligned with Russia. It started World War I 100 years ago. And today, Mr. Vučić in Serbia, the president, is playing a double game. He's trying to get money and investment from the West, but Serbia loves Russia. Serbia doesn't love Kosovo. And that's our problem. There was, like a year ago, a sort of secret effort to invade Kosovo through the north. And that got stopped by KFOR. And we put troops up there from NATO. And we've still got a NATO mission in there. But in the spring, I learned that President Trump's son-in-law is building a hotel in Belgrade. And he's even promised he's going to put in a memorial garden in Belgrade to the victims of NATO aggression. There weren't any victims of NATO aggression, but there were plenty of victims of Serb aggression in Kosovo. So I found this pretty outrageous. And then I looked back at the record and I sort of put two and two together. And that's why I'm out here asking you today, you've got to vote Democratic. You've got to help us protect Kosovo. Mr. Trump has a special relationship with Mr. Putin. He does. He'll brag about it. He told you. In fact, the latest news is he's had 7 secret phone calls with Mr. Putin since he left office. And Mr. Putin wants to break up NATO. And Mr. Trump wants to please Mr. Putin. So, you know, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Trump, no NATO, no Kosovo. It's going to be that simple if we don't stop it. And that's why I'm here asking for your support. Vice President Harris is as experienced in public life as anybody could be. She was a prosecuting attorney of one of the most populous states in the United States. She was a senator. She spent 4 years as vice president. Now, I think she's pretty tough, and I think she held her own pretty well in that last debate against Mr. Trump. So I hope, and I'm hoping, I'm looking at the ladies here, I hope you won't hold it against her that she's a lady. I think women can be pretty strong. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher of England, she was tough and she was strong. And I think Kamala Harris can be pretty strong for us. And I think she's already said she's going to support Ukraine and she's going to support NATO, and that means she's going to support Kosovo. And that's what we need. Look, the United States is in a really tough position today. We have 4 principal adversaries. And the threat of war is growing worse each day. North Korea is now a nuclear power and can fire intercontinental ballistic missiles and strike the United States. Now, why would they want to do that? Beats me. I think the guy's kind of half crazy who runs North Korea. And we didn't want him to have nuclear missiles, but he has them. Iran is on the verge of having its own nuclear weapons. And they have long-range missiles. And they're spoiling for a fight with Israel. And who knows what's going to happen there. But what we do know is that President Putin is encouraging Iran because there's a relationship with Iran. A Russian relationship, a strategic document has been signed, and Iran is giving Putin weapons, and in return, Putin is giving Iran technology. Just like North Korea is giving Putin weapons and ammunition. In fact, the latest report is North Korean forces are fighting in Ukraine. So he's got a strategic relationship. And then there's China. President Xi and President Putin got together a couple of years ago and they signed an agreement. And they say it's a no-limits partnership. As Mr. Xi said, he said there are changes taking place not seen in 100 years. And he said to Mr. Putin, we're driving it. Now, what he's really talking about is undercutting America's leadership and influence in the world. And that will come right back to haunt us in Europe, in Kosovo, and in the American economy in the United States. So, in this election, we got a really important choice. We can support Kamala Harris, who really supports America, who's strong, is going to stand up for our principles. Or we can go the other side. We can vote for a really charming guy who's a personal friend of President Putin, who's going to do what Putin wants. I don't think it's much of a choice. And that's why I'm here asking you, please help me. A lot of people lost their lives in 1997, 98, 99. The Uchikov formed to try to protect those people. We bombed in NATO. We helped Kosovo become independent. I don't want to see that destroyed. I don't want to see Russia establish its grip on Eastern Europe again and repress the people there. And I don't want to see the war come to the shores of the United States. Kamala Harris is a person to keep Kosovo safe and keep America safe. So I hope, as you're going through the last few days of this election, I hope that you'll encourage everybody that you know, all the Albanian American community, and your children, your school teachers, and everybody you associate with. You've got to vote in this election, and you've got to vote for Kamala Harris. Really, our country's future is dependent on it. I want to stop there and thank you very much. And I'll take any questions. Okay. And I'll take any questions. Anybody wants to ask, let's have a discussion, let's talk about things, and
My name is Gjenerali Wesley. You guys know I'm president of the organization of UNCs. We all know your support that you did for Kosovo and your administration for all Albanians. We appreciate that and we thank you. But is the new administration ready to push forward Kosovo and NATO? And as you said, that the scenario of the Russians, Ukraine, we are afraid that it's going to be spread. Is the United States ready to support a peace in Balkan?
so is the United States ready to push Kosovo to NATO?
Yeah.
And secondly, what about peace in Ukraine? So here's the answers. Now these are my answers. I haven't spoken to Kamala Harris, okay? But here's the truth, okay? First of all, Kosovo is moving closer and closer to membership in NATO. Macedonia is a member of NATO. Albania is a member of NATO. Croatia is a member of NATO. Bulgaria is a member of NATO. Greece is a member of NATO. Of course, Albania and the Albanian group in Kosovo. And Kosovo itself will become members of NATO. I've been over there to the Ministry of Defense. I've talked to the minister. I've taught a class. I love it. It's great to see it's going to happen. If we get the right person as president. If we get as president someone who doesn't want NATO, then Kosovo won't become a member of NATO. It's black and white, really. It's that clear cut. Now, as far as Ukraine, right now the Ukrainians, look, here's what happens. You saw and you know what Milosevic was trying to do in Kosovo. He was trying to stamp out your language, your culture, and your people who were resisting. This is the way the Russians operate, and this is what they're trying to do in Ukraine. They come in, they know the names of the teachers, the human rights workers, the lawyers, all the people who could sort of lead a resistance. And they get those people in, they put them through what they call a filtration camp. They took their families, they took their cell phones, then they found out who they were talking to. So there have been hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians from Donbass who were run through these camps and eliminated. Some of the women were put into what we would call white slavery. We know this. Some of the men were shot right away. Some of the children were taken and given to Russian families to try to get them to forget their Ukrainian heritage. That's the Russian way of war. So the Ukrainians are not anxious to have a peace plan. The Ukrainians want their country back. And they want those people who've been abducted accounted for. And they want their children back. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know this. President Trump says he's going to get a peace plan like that because he's good friends with Putin. The Ukrainians don't want a peace plan like that surrenders their people. Ukraine they want their land back. They want the missing people accounted for. They want the children returned. They want Russia to pay for the $1 trillion of destruction of Ukraine. And they want the war criminals brought to trial. Now Hashim Thachi's sitting up there in The Hague right now on trial because the Russians cooked up this crazy evidence that somehow he was in organ transplants or something, or was in charge of something. I know Thachi, and I know how the Uchaka worked during that conflict, and I can tell you it's all made up. We can't get him out. The real war criminal is Vladimir Putin, who started the conflict in Ukraine. So I can't predict what's going to happen on it, but I can say this. Vice President Harris says she's going to stand with the Ukrainians, and she's going to help them get their freedom and hold on to their country, and I think that's really important. I think people that sort of promise an instant solution to these kinds of problems, they don't understand the problem, or they've got something in mind that doesn't look very good. So, I hope that answers your question. Look, I hear President Trump going out and saying, you know, we're about to have World War III and only he can prevent it. Number one is we're not about to have World War III, but we do have some challenges out there. And number two is he's not the person to prevent it because he cuts deals with dictators. That's what he does. He doesn't use diplomacy. He talks mano a mano. I'll give you this, you give me that. And that's not the way to protect the United States. Sorry?
He's the biggest liar I ever seen in my life.
It is.
I'm telling my friends today, we all gonna be Democrats here.
Good.
You are Democrat and all of us will be Democrat. I was Republican. When Trump came in the picture, I became a Democrat. I supported Hillary, Joe Biden, now Canada, so we can finish this job forever.
Thank you.
That's all it
Thank
is.
you.
And I got few friends that are Republicans here for Trump, but you know, they don't mind because that's the way I talk, the truth.
Well, look, I want to tell you something about what you just said about Donald Trump, okay? And look, I don't know Donald Trump personally. I know a lot of people who know him. And a lot of people like him and think he's really funny and handsome and so forth. But my wife agrees with you. But the point is this, he's following the playbook that other dictators have followed. And this is a real problem. He tried to overthrow the U.S. Constitution in 2021. That riot on January 6th was clearly illegal, and the prosecutors have submitted the evidence, and it's out in public. Presidents that don't support the Constitution, how can you trust him? He took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and he tried to overthrow it. So, to me, it's an open and shut case, and I appreciate what you're saying in your support. I don't want to beat a dead horse, as we say in Arkansas. So if everybody here is all set to vote Democratic, I'm really happy. But I want to make sure you know why, so that you have the arguments and the evidence to persuade anybody who might have a concern.
Happening, we felt the liberation already. And I know your effort when you went down because your was to fly 5,000 miles above, which you couldn't see the targets so clearly, and you give the order to go lower, which risked the lives of the American soldiers, but you know that was necessary in order to help the people there who were getting massacred. And my question here today is, and I hope you will speak to Pamela Harrison, and why is Serbia being so spoiled? So, first in genocide, then it was in United Nations, then they did a genocide in Bosnia, and nothing happened. They still receiving all kinds of funds from America, from Europe, from everywhere, and they play in double and triple role with Russia, with China, and America tried to bring them closer, not to go to Russia. We understand that, but it should not be in our cost. We should not be the bait for it, and we should not pay the price for that. We paid enough our price with our lives, with our freedom, and Serbia, as you know, they only know one language, and that's the language of force. And they will never do anything, whatever you're going to give them, they will still stay pro-Russia. And we should not support that kind of things. Like if a bully bullies somebody else, we should not support that bully. The bully should be punished. And because it was not punished, so they did in Banjska a year ago. They tried with forces. It was proven that it was all directed from Belgrade. The weapons that they were brought there were humongous, and they came, and force is there, but they didn't do nothing to stop it. It was our police who had to face them and fight with them one-on-one and make them then leave. And we could have done a lot more harm to them, but we didn't want to do nothing in the area where it was a church, like an Orthodox church, and they wanted to use that as a propaganda, look, they harming even the arming the church, an Orthodox church, which we didn't do that, and it was very smart from our police not to do that. But my question again is like, is Pamela Harrison going to do anything about it to stop the Serbs' aggression? Every time they're trying to threaten us, they brought the military 4 times in the border, and our prime minister asked to put the zone again, the neutral zone is 5 kilometers, so they cannot come closer to our borders. And it will be great if you can do anything about that. Thank you very much again. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. And thanks for all the effort that you have done so far.
So, first of all, I can't make any promises about Vice President Harris and what she's going to do or say. And the reason is, she hasn't had the freedom. She's working for the President of the United States. And basically, the Vice President works for the President. And she follows and tries to support. And in my view, it's time to relook this, what you just were talking about, these enclaves, because they're not acceptable to the people of Kosovo. And that's what the people of Kosovo are saying we don't want this. So you're exactly right in what you say. You shouldn't punish the victims of aggression. You shouldn't do that. Now, my personal view is that it would be a mistake to do this, because we know these Serb monasteries in the past were centers of violence and terrorism. They stored weapons and they supported the Serb nationalists and the paramilitaries. And we don't want to see that come back again in Kosovo. You have a good constitution in Kosovo. I'm sorry that Serbia doesn't like it, but Serbia's got to live in the real world. And I think with Vice President Kamala Harris, when she gets into office, she'll see it very clearly. She spent her life in justice. She's a former prosecuting attorney. She knows the difference between right and wrong. And I think we'll make good headway with her. But I know on the other side what Mr. Trump is going to do. So the choice you have is pretty clear. If people go with Mr. Trump, I'm not saying you are, but if your friends go with Mr. Trump because you're concerned about what's happening in Kosovo today, he's going to make it much worse. He'll pull K4 out. He'll cut a deal with Serbia. You'll lose probably everything north of the Ibar River. And you probably end up with those enclaves anyway. So I think, the only reasonable choice is Kamala Harris. And if I have a chance to speak to her, I will carry your message right to her.
Thank you for your service. First question is how we can allow, or Albanian Americans are very unhappy with our State Department, what's going on in Kosovo, and how they treat current government. I believe in democracy. I believe Serbian people in Kosovo to have all their rights like all the other people. But the way they treat in Kosovo, Albanian Americans are very, very unhappy with State Department. Question is, you think anything going to change with new administration? And number two, why they are allowing Vučić to play games for so long? We know who are his allies, who are his people. Dačić, Vuljev, all of these people are connected to mafia, connected to crime, and they don't believe in democracy. Connected to Russia. He don't go to Russia because he knows it's better to send somebody else. But all the information he gets from Putin, he gets from his people. Why our government allows an EU, because it's very dangerous. What they learn like a little kid. You can steal one apple. Next day you can steal 2 apples. Next 5 days you will steal more and more. The question, you are expert in all these things, so these are my questions. And again, thank you for being here with us. And you are always with our hearts, with our families, because you are a true hero, true American, but you are not just American general, you are Albanian American general, forever. And we love you.
This is a very important question. It's a very important thing you're saying. It's very important. Look, we have to put Kamala Harris in office and she's got to understand what's happening, and we've got a chance with her that she can fix this. I understand you're unhappy. I'm unhappy with it too. But she didn't do it. It was done around her. She didn't have any control over it. If she were here, I know she'd agree with you and what you're saying. I know she would. But I can't speak for her. And what I will do is I will carry your message back to her as best I can. But in the meantime, I think you have to expect and trust her to do the right thing, not what the State Department's doing right now.
Mondi Rakaj, I represent Federata Shqiptare Vatra, Albanian American organization, the oldest and the largest nationwide. Number one is we can influence, thank you so much what you have done for Kosovo, you, Bill Clinton, Secretary of State, everyone, thank you so much. We can influence our members, whether to, they live in democratic nation, and we can influence them to vote either left or right. We have to, we tell them what to do, but they gotta vote whatever we can, push them whether they want. A lot of Albanians are family people, they respect family rights. So, we have to live in, but at the end, all we worry is about our nation, things to go right. We're not happy with all these wars that are happening. And we understand it's not the government, it's not the President Biden issues, but it's just a lot of wars happening. And we hope whoever wins the presidency, less wars, a better U.S. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. So the point is that, Albanian American associations, you can't tell people how to vote. You can't. But, and there's a lot of concern about the wars that are building up in the world today. And Albanian people are family people, and they're worried about their families and so forth. And not only that, I just want to underscore, Albanian Americans came here looking for safety and freedom and the good life for their families. So I think all you can ask is that you provide the facts and let people make up their own minds. But the facts are that on one hand, you have a qualified person who's been the vice president and so forth, and a senator, and she's a prosecuting attorney, and she respects the rule of law. And on the other hand, you have someone who says he wants to be a dictator, but only on day one. And, I know maybe he would say that's a joke. He just wants what he wants. But we've already had 4 years of experience with him, and we know that he doesn't respect the law, he doesn't respect other people, he doesn't respect propriety, and he's full of vengeance. He is, in his temperament at least, he expresses all the characteristics of these dictators, Xi Jinping or Putin or anything else. And so it's a real danger. And I hope that you all will convey the facts to the people who vote in this state and in your communities. Of course they have to make up their own mind, but they should see the facts as they are. When Trump gives a speech at a rally, it's what you said, it's mostly lies. I mean, he's trying to say, every day he's lying about something. He tried to say the other day, a book came out that said that he gave critical COVID testing equipment to Vladimir Putin. Trump said, that's a lie. His people said, that's a lie, it never happened. The reporter made it up. But the next day, the Kremlin said it was true. So, you just have to understand that in American politics, leadership is a function of character. And you have one person with good character and one person with bad character. And I can tell you, and I know I'm speaking for my fellow general officers, with his character, he'd never make it in the United States Army. He wouldn't make it. We wouldn't let him. He wouldn't be an Army officer.
Okay,
So,
good.
look, I need your help on this because we have to keep this country going forward. We got to take it forward, not go backwards. So please get the information out and help people.
General Clark, thank you for your presence. I'm not with the media. No, I'm with the Albanian community here. I want to thank you for your presence. Obviously, I'm sure you feel at home everywhere where there are Albanians, as we do respect your contribution to the Albanian cause, which was also hand in hand with the American cause. My question is, in the former Trump administration, there was a deal on the table for a partition of Kosovo. Do you feel that there's an inclination in the Harris administration to protect the territorial integrity of Kosovo? And my second question is there a role for you in the Harris administration? Am I posing this question to a future Secretary of State? And again, thank you very much for your presence. And I would ask from everybody here to give another round of applause for General Clark. God bless.
Here's what I think we can be sure of with the Harris administration. That this issue in the Balkans between Serbia and Kosovo and the connection to Ukraine is all going to be reworked. And I think we're going to see a big change in U.S. policy. But I can't guarantee it. Now, if she asked me to serve, I'd be honored and I would attempt to do that. But I'm not out here looking for a job. You know, I've got all the medals and awards I could ever ask for, including some wonderful recognition from the Republic of Kosovo. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm just here because I'm just an American and I care about this country and I care about the work that America has done in the world to try to end ethnic cleansing, end crimes against humanity, and bring freedom and democracy everywhere. And that's why I'm here, and we've got a chance to move forward. And that's what I'm asking you all to do. And what Philip was saying is, be sure you're registered. Be sure you can vote. And then vote. Okay, thank you.
Dashur teleshikues të televizionit të shqiptarëve të Amerikës, nuk ka shqiptar që nuk e njeh Gjeneralin Wesley Clark. Nuk ka shqiptar që nuk shpreh dashurinë për atë çka ka bërë për Kosovën. Por sot do të flasim për politikën aktuale. General Clark, you talk about Kamala Harris. Does Kamala Harris know the situation in Kosovo?
I don't think she knows the situation in Kosovo in detail. But I know this, she has a lot of intellectual curiosity, she has a lot of energy, and I know she will learn that situation in detail.
I wish, because as we see now, the Biden administration, that Kamala was part of that, has done very pressure on the Prime Minister of Kosovo that wants the sovereignty of its own country to be enlarged. So they do pressure the department, State Department, ambassadors in the area. Ambassador Hill had been a big supporter of Kosovo at the Rambouillet, now it's pushing for Serbia. How do you evaluate this situation? It's to me, it's like a parody.
I think the situation is a little bit confused at this point. And I think what happened was that the people that came in the Biden administration were looking for an alternative to the partition of Kosovo. And they tried to broker some kind of negotiation with these enclaves. And I think it got out of hand, honestly. And I am very hopeful that the Harris administration will relook this policy and change it. Okay. Look, the people like Jim O'Brien in the State Department, he was Madeleine Albright's assistant. He was right there with me when I was talking to her in the State Department in 1998, 99. He knows what the situation is. And we can't have a Kosovo. We shouldn't expect Kosovo to give up its sovereignty. It has its own constitution. If you're going to do that, tell Serbia to create enclaves for Albanians.
I fully agree with you, but the reality is not the one you wish and I wish.
Well, that's why we got an election. You got a choice.
Well, yeah, the election, it was a...
We got an election in this country.
We know we have an election. You are an old type of Democrat. I support the old type of Democrats as you as Bill Clinton. But nowadays government is doing nothing, is doing the reverse of what you inspired of you have done Why Tachi is in prison? You said yourself. It is under Biden government he won. The first day the Biden went in the government, Tachi went in the prison.
I can't explain it. All I can say is that I'm going to do everything I can to see the situation put right.
And I wish and I trust you because you are an Albanian hero. Maybe you are not an American hero, you are, but an Albanian hero you are. And we think you have to push the administration, the actual administration that has a lot of problems with war, to explain the situation in the Balkans. Because the Balkans can be the Ukraine of tomorrow.
Oh, I know.
You know, you are a military, you have been in the Balkans, you know the
mentality.
The mentality, you know. So that's why we want you to talk to the candidate, to Kamala Harris, if you have time. And I know that Michigan is a swing state.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen, because in media I've seen both campaigns coming. They want the Albanian support to vote for them because the situation can change with 10,000 votes.
Exactly.
So,
and how many votes can we promise her?
I don't know. I'm not involved with the campaign. Yeah. I'm not involved with the campaign.
30 or 40,000 votes here.
Yeah. General, thank you very much for what you have done for my country, for what you have done for the Albanian nation. And you'll be always in our heart, and we trust you. We fully trust you. And we wish people like you to be like the old man that dies advice to the government because you don't want to involve. Thank you very much. Zoti Clark dikur ish kandidat për presidenti i Shteteve të Bashkuara, kishte ardhur sot me një fushat për zëvendës presidenten Kamala Harris për të zgjedhur këtu në Michigan. Natyrisht zoti Clark paraqiti situatën aktuale në Kosovë. Ai tregoi historikun e veprimtarisë së tij në favor të Kosovës dhe shprehu mbështetjen e tij për kandidaten Harris. Të pranishmit në këtë takim i u drejtuan disa pyetje që lidhen me situatën në Kosovë, me qëndrimin e Shteteve Bashkuara dhe Departamentit të Shtetit ndaj Kosovës. Natyrisht qëndrimi i Gjenerali Clark ishte që zonja Kamala Harris duhet ta kuptojë se e ardhmja e Ballkanit është me Shtetet e Bashkuara, e ardhmja e Kosovës është me lirinë dhe pavarësinë dhe integritetin territorial të Kosovës. Në fund të këtij takimi ne zhvilluam një intervistë të shkurtër me zotin Clark.